Reading Football Club is a professional association football club based in Reading, Berkshire, England. The team play in the Championship, the second tier of English football. Reading are nicknamed the Royals, due to Reading's location in the Royal County of Berkshire, though they were previously known as the Biscuitmen, due to the town's association with Huntley and Palmers. Established in 1871, the club is one of the oldest teams in England, but did not join the Football League until 1920, and had never played in the top tier of English Football League system before the 2006-07 season. The club competed in the 2012-13 Premier League season, having gained promotion at the end of the 2011-12 season after winning the championship, but were relegated after just one season back in the top flight. The club played at Elm Park for 102 years between 1896 and 1998. The club moved in 1998 to the new Madejski Stadium, which is named after the club's co-chairman Sir John Madejski. The club holds the record for the number of successive league wins at the start of a season, with a total of 13 wins at the start of the 1985-86 Third Division campaign, and also the record for the number of points gained in the professional league season, with 106 points in the 2005-06 Football League Championship campaign. Reading then finished 8th in the 2006-07 Premier League, the first ever season as a top-flight club. History. Reading were formed on the 25th of December 1871, following a public meeting at the Bridge Street Rooms organised by the future club secretary Joseph Edward Sydenham. The early matches were played at Reading Recreation Ground, and later the club held fixtures at Reading Cricket Ground, Coley Park and Caversham Cricket Ground. The switch to professionalism in 1895 resulted in the need for a bigger ground, and to this end, the club moved again to the purpose-built Elm Park on the 5th of September 1896. In 1913, Reading had a successful tour of Italy, prompting the leading sports newspaper Corriere della Sera to write, "Without doubt, Reading FC is the finest foreign team seen in Italy." Reading were elected to the Football League Third Division south of the Football League in 1920. Reading's best performance in the FA Cup came in 1926-27 when they lost to eventual winners Cardiff City at Wolverhampton in the semi-final, a placement the club would not match again until 2015, when they lost to holders Arsenal in the semi-final. Reading lost the place in Division 2 in May 1931, and remained in Third Division South until the outbreak of World War II. The club won the Southern Section Cup, beating Bristol City in the two-legged final in 1938, and when taking part in the regional London War League and Cup competitions, gained another honour by beating Brentford in the London War Cup final of 1941 by 3-2 at Stamford Bridge. When league football resumed after the war, Reading quickly came to prominence once again. The club's record victory, 10-2 versus Crystal Palace, was recorded in September 1946, and Reading twice finished runners-up in the third, in 1948-49 and 1951-52, but they were denied a return to Division 2 as only the champions were promoted. The side's moment of cup glory came in 1988 when they won the Simod Cup, beating a number of top-flight sides en route to the Wembley win over Luton Town. Reading were promoted to the second division as champions in 1986 under the management of Ian Branfoot, but were relegated back to the third division in 1988. The appointment of Mark McGee as player-manager shortly after the takeover by John Madejski in 1991 saw Reading move forward. They were crowned champions of the new Division 2 in 1994. 35-year-old striker Jimmy Quinn was put in charge of the first team alongside midfielder Mick Gooding and guided Reading to runners-up in the final Division 1 table, only to be denied automatic promotion because of the streamlining of the Premier League from 22 teams to 20. In 1995, Reading had eased past Tranmere Rovers in the playoff semi-finals and looked to have booked the place in the Premier League, only to lose against Bolton Wanderers in the final. Quinn and Gooding's contracts were not renewed 2 years later after Reading had slid into the bottom half of Division 1. The successor, Terry Bullivant, lasted less than 1 season before being sacked in March 1998. The year 1998 also saw Reading move into the new 24,200 all-seater Medeski Stadium, named after chairman John Medeski. Tommy Burns had taken over from Terry Bullivant but lasted just 18 months before being replaced by Alan Pardew, who had previously been reserve team manager before being released. The club finished third in 2001, qualifying for the playoffs, losing 2-3 in the final against Walsall at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Reading returned to Division 1 for 2002-03 after finishing runners-up in Division 2. The following season, they finished 4th in Division 1 and qualified for the playoffs, where they lost in the semi-final to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Alan Pardew moved to West Ham United the following October and was replaced by Steve Coppell. Reading won the 2005-06 championship with a league record 106 points, scoring 99 goals and losing only twice. Reading were promoted to English football's top division for the first time in the history. The 2006-07 season saw Reading make their first appearance in the top flight of English football. Reading defied pre-season predictions of relegation to finish the season in 8th place with 55 points. Reading turned down the chance to play in the UEFA Intertoto Cup. In the run-up to the second season in the Premier League, Reading took part in the 2007 Peace Cup in South Korea. This second season was less successful, however, and Reading were relegated back to the Championship. Reading started the 2008-09 season with a 15-match unbeaten home run. They finished 4th and qualified for the playoffs, where they lost to Burnley in the semi-final. Manager Steve Coppell resigned just hours after the game, replaced by Brendan Rodgers. Rodgers left the club by mutual consent on the 16th of December 2009, and Brian McDermott made caretaker manager the same day. In the 2010-11 FA Cup, Reading reached the quarter-final, where they lost 1-0 to Manchester City at Etihad Stadium. Reading eventually finished 5th in the Championship to qualify for the division's playoffs. After beating Cardiff City in the semi-finals, they lost 4-2 to Swansea City in the final at Wembley. In the 2011-12 season, a streak of good form in the second half of the season ensured promotion to the Premier League on the 17th of April 2012 with 1-0 home win against Nottingham Forest. McDermott led Reading to the first Premier League win of the 2012-13 season on the 17th of November 2012 at their 11th attempt, defeating Everton 2-1 at home. On the 11th of March 2013, however, he left his position at Reading. Nigel Adkins was then appointed as manager, though he was unable to save them from relegation after drawing Queen's Park Rangers 0-0 on the 28th of April 2013 at Loftus Road. The following season, back in the Championship, saw Reading make two high-profile signings in Wayne Bridge and Royston Drenthey in hope of an immediate return to the Premier League. Reading, however, missed out on the playoffs because of a last-minute winner from Nottingham Forest Leonardo Allo, causing Brighton and Hove Albion to make to the playoffs at Reading's expense. The summer before the 2014-15 season saw further arrivals of Jamie Mackey on loan, Oliver Norwood and the return of Simon Cox. The club was under a high threat of administration, causing departures of Sean Morrison and Adam Alafonda, and the Ties taking over the club. A good start to Nigel Adkins' second season in charge was followed by a poor run of results that ended with his sacking after the 6-1 away defeat to Birmingham City, with Steve Clarke taking over the next day in the hope of a promotion push. However, a lack of goals and some poor form in the league meant the club faced some fears of relegation to League One, but luckily safety was secured with few games to spare. Nonetheless, during that time, the club embarked on a successful FA Cup journey, reaching the semi-final where they were unlucky to lose 2-1 to Arsenal at Wembley. The 2015-16 season saw the departures of long-serving players Adam Federici to AFC Bournemouth, Alex Pearce to Derby County and Jem Karacan to Galatasaray, but the arrival Stephen Quinn and Paul McShane from Hull City, Orlando Sarr from Legia Warsaw and Jonathan Bond from newly promoted Premier League side Watford. The summer spending continued, with goalkeeper Ali Al-Habsi joining from recently relegated League One side Wigan Athletic, Paulo Hurtado from Pacos de Ferreira and Andrew Taylor and Alex Fernandez in on loan. The club then signed Lucas Piazon on a season-long loan deal from Chelsea just before the deadline day, as well as the signings of winger Ola John from Benfica and striker Maciej Wydra from Watford, both likewise season-long loan deals. In the 2015-16 season, Reading finished 17th in the Sky Bet Championship. Crest and colours. The first crest to appear on a Reading kit was in 1953. It featured just the letter R. There was no crest seen again until 1981, when there was a crest featuring three trees and the rivers Thames and Kennet. This only lasted 2 seasons. From 1987 to 96, the crest used the new kit colours of yellow, sky blue, royal blue and white. In 1995, Chairman Sir John Madejski said, "I know some traditionalists will say we should keep the old badge, but they should bear in mind the need to move forward." Quote, "This crest only lasted from 1996 to 98, when the club moved to the new Madejski Stadium. The current crest was first seen on the kits for the 1998-99 season. It is based on the club colours, blue and white, and includes a crown to represent the county of Berkshire and a Maiwand lion to represent Reading stadiums. The club played at Reading Recreation Ground until 1878, before moving on to Reading Cricket Ground, Coley Park and Caversham Cricket Ground. In 1889, Reading were unable to continue playing at Coley Park as W.B. Monk no longer allowed football due to rowdyism, the rougher elements. With club membership exceeding 300 by the time the club went professional in 1895, Reading required a proper ground. A meeting the following year determined that funding would be difficult. £20 was donated by J.C. Fiedler on the proviso that no liquors were to be sold on site. The rest of the cost was financed through donations by wealthy supporters, as well as one large individual donation. A former gravel pit in West Reading was identified as the site. The first game at Elm Park was held on the 5th of September 1896 between Reading and A. Berkshire. The visitors were a scratch team from Holloway College. £44 was taken on the gate, with an attendance of approximately 2,500. In 1908, the club's annual general meeting proposed moving to a new ground near Reading railway station. A board meeting the following year decided that the move would not be possible, as there was no chance of a move to the ground near to the GWR railway stations due to the actions of the Great Western Railway. In 1994, the Taylor Report made all-seater stadiums compulsory in the top two divisions. Reading were champions of the second division in 1994, and were promoted to the first division. Reading became subject to the Taylor requirements, though converting Elm Park to an all-seater stadium would have been impractical. Instead, a location in Smallmead was identified as the site for a new stadium. The former council landfill site was bought for £1, with further conditions that the development of the stadium would include part funding of the A33 Relief Road. Expansion of the club's home would also allow alternative commercial ventures and shared use with other teams. The last competitive match at Elm Park took place on the 3rd of May 1998 against Norwich City, with Reading losing 1-0. Reading began the 1998-99 season at the Medeski Stadium. It was opened on the 22nd of August 1998 when Luton Town were beaten 3-0. The stadium cost more than £50 million to build. For the first time in its history, Reading Football Club participated in the Premier League in the 2006-07 season. As a result of the sell-out crowds for the first few fixtures of the season, the club announced their intention, in October 2006, to make a planning application to extend the ground to between 37,000 and 38,000 seats. The application was made on the 24th of January 2007, proposing initially the extension of the East Stand with a further 6,000 seats and subsequently extension of the North and South Stands to reach the full proposed capacity. On the 24th of May 2007, it was announced that planning permission had been granted to extend the stadium to a capacity of 36,900. Reading have made plans for a new training ground at Bearwood Golf Club to replace Hogwood Park, their current training facility. On the 5th of July 2016, at the end of Eamon Dolan's funeral, Reading announced that the North Stand would be renamed the Eamon Dolan Stand. Support. In 2001, Reading became the first football club to register the fans as an official member of the squad, giving the player registered with squad number 13 as Reading fans. Rivalries. Before going out of business in 1992, Aldershot were Reading's biggest rivals. There was a strong rift between the two sets of fans, with fighting between fans occurring on several occasions. Strong feelings remain between fans of Reading and fans of Aldershot Town, the refounded club in Aldershot. With Aldershot Town rejoining the league in 2008, it remains to be seen whether this traditional rivalry will be re-established. Since Aldershot's exile, Reading's main local rivalries have been with Oxford United and Swindon Town. When the three teams had shared a division, the rivalry was referred to as the Didcot Triangle. However, the rivalry between Oxford and Swindon is stronger than between either of the two and Reading, largely due to them both spending the recent history in lower divisions than Reading, and spending the previous history in higher divisions than Reading. In 2012, a small survey showed that Reading's main rivals were Aldershot Town, followed by Swindon Town and Oxford United. Sponsorship. Additional kit sponsors. During the 2013-14 season and 2014-15 season, the Marussia F1 logo was on the back of the home shorts as part of a sponsorship deal between former Russian owner Anton Zinkrevich and Russian-owned Marussia F1. This deal continued until the team entered administration in October 2014. The sponsorship deal ended despite the team surviving and racing in the 2015 Formula One season. During the 2015-16 season, Waitrose was on the back of the home shirt whilst Eurocake was on the back of the away shirt. Meanwhile, Legend Alliance sponsored the shorts for the season. Ownership and finances. Reading Football Club ownership structure: 25% owned by GPT Football Investment Limited and 25% owned by GPT UK Investment Limited, which are both 100% owned by Naran Nirati-Nanon. 25% owned by RFC UK Investment Co Limited, which is 100% owned by Sasmus Revacorn. 25% owned by Universal FICO Limited, which is 100% owned by Samrith Thanakan Jaranisouth. Reading FC directors: Sir John Medeski, Sassumus Revacorn, Naran Nirati-Nanon, Samrith Thanakan Jaranisouth, Nigel Howe, Ian Wood Smith, Tor Isaks Risumrad, Thagaraj PM Thongsan. Players as of the 28th of July 2016. First team squad. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Under 21 squad. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Under 18 squad. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Out on loan as of the 28th of July 2016. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Records and statistics. Reading hold the record for the number of successive league wins at the start of a season, with a total of 13 wins at the start of the 1985-86 Third Division campaign, and also the record for the number of points gained in a professional league season, with 106 points in the 2005-06 Football League Championship campaign. Reading finished champions of the division on both of these occasions. The club's largest win was a 10-2 victory over Crystal Palace on the 4th of September 1946 in the Football League 3rd Division South. Reading's heaviest loss was an 18-0 defeat against Preston North End in the FA Cup first round on the 27th of January 1894. Reading have lost the two highest scoring matches in the history of the Premier League. Portsmouth 7-4 Reading on the 29th of September 2007, and Tottenham Hotspur 6-4 Reading on the 29th of December 2007, as well as losing the highest scoring League Cup game. Reading 5-7 Arsenal on the 30th of October 2012. The player with the most league appearances is Martin Hicks, with 500 from 1978 to 1991. The most capped player is Kevin Doyle, who earned 26 for the Republic of Ireland whilst at the club. The most league goals in total and in a season are held by Ronnie Blackman with 158 from 1947 to 1954 and 39 in 1951-52 respectively. The player with the most league goals in a game is Arthur Bacon with 6 against Stoke City in 1930-31. The first Reading-based player to play in the FIFA World Cup was Bobby Convey in 2006 with the United States. The record time for a goalkeeper not conceding a goal is held by Steve Duff at 1,103 minutes in 1978-79. which is a former English League record in itself. Reading's highest attendance at Elm Park was in 1927, when 33,042 spectators watched Reading defeat Brentford 1-0. The highest attendance at the Meadowski Stadium is 24,184 for the Premier League game, with Everton on 17 November 2012. The highest transfer fee received for a Reading player is the £6.6 million 1899 Hoffenheim paid for Jiffy Sigurðsson on 31 August 2010. The most expensive player Reading have ever bought was a Mercer F.A. Acute, who cost £2.5 million from Nantes on 2 August 2007. Notable players. In 1999, Reading commissioned a poll of the supporters' player of the millennium to determine the club's best ever player, player of the season, international players, former players, club officials, Board of Directors and AMP, Senior Club Staff, Chief Executive Nigel Howe, Commercial Director Ben Wells, Club Secretary Sue Hewitt, Financial Controller Brian Stabler, Directors Sir John Meadowski, Sasmus Revacorn, Nigel Howe, Naran Niratinanan, Sumrith Thanakan, Jana Sath, Tor Isks Risumridden Thakaraj PM Fongsan, Management Team Director of Football Brian Teverden, First Team Manager Jab Stam, Assistant Manager Andries Alderink and AMP Said Bakarti, First Team Coach Stephen Reed, Goalkeeping Coach Dave Bestland, Head of Sports Science Nick Harvey, First Team Sports Scientist Tristan Baker, First Team Physio John Owen, Academy Manager vacant, Assistant Academy Manager David Dodds, Academy Development Manager Lee Heron, Academy Loan Manager Mikel Legetwood, Kit Manager Stuart Bannister, Head of Scouting and AMP Recruitment First Team Head Scout Steve Shorey, Massa Dan Buchanan, Pro Zone Lucy Rushton, Managers Women's Team. In May 2006, Reading launched the Reading FC Women's Team. They used to play in the FA Premier League Southern Division. From 2014, Reading FC Women played in the FA Women's Super League 2 until they won promotion to the FA Women's Super League 1 in 2015 after winning the League Honours. English Second Tier winners, runners-up 1995, English Third Tier winners, runners-up 1932, 1935, 1949, 1952, 1994, 2002, English Fourth Tier. Winners 1979, Full Members Cup winners 1988, London War Cup winners 1941, Football League Third Division South Cup winners 1938, FA Cup. Semi-finalists, quarter-finalists 1901, 2010, 2011, 2016 Football League Cup. Quarter-finalists 1996, 1998 U21 Premier League Cup. Winners 2013-14 Highest League Finish. Premier League 2007, 8th place Managerial LMA Manager of the Year Steve Coppell 2005-06, 2006-07, LMA Championship Manager of the Year Brian McDermott 2011-12. Affiliated clubs: Albion Hurricanes FC, Boreham Wood, Charlotte United FC, Ernakulam Eagles, Galatasaray, Ocean City Nor'easters, South Georgia United. Bibliography